Hello, my name is Noah Cheses, and I have the pleasure of serving at the Young Israel of Sharon and also as a member of the RCA Executive Committee. The story of Yaakov's wrestling match with an unnamed adversary in Parshat Vayishlach is mysterious and enigmatic. We don't know where and why it took place. We don't even know the identity of the adversary. In contrast, the aftermath of the episode is quite concrete and specific. After the sun rises, Yaakov is limping away, physically injured, and the Torah says that Al Kain, because of what just transpired, Lo yuchlu b'nei Yisrael ad gid hanasheh, asher al kaf hayarech ad hayom hazeh, ki naga b'kaf yarech Yaakov b'gid hanasheh. This is a startling pasuk for so many reasons. Lots of questions jump out. Number one, who was Bnei Yisrael at this time in Jewish history? There was no Am yet. Yaakov had lots of children, but there was no collective entity of Bnei Yisrael. Number two, why does the Torah insert a legal ruling in the middle of a narrative? It's unusual to transition so abruptly from a dramatic narrative to a normative behavioral halacha. And third, what does it mean, ad hayom hazeh? Biblical critics have a field day with this, using it as a raya, as a proof that the Torah was edited at a later point in history. But rejecting such claims, how are we to make sense of the temporal reference here? The commentator, the Dat Zikanim, who was of the Balei HaTosfot, that school, offers an intriguing explanation. He suggests that, in response to our first question, that Bnei Yisrael does not refer to this entity of the Jewish people, but rather it refers literally to the biological descendants of Yaakov, just going down one generation. And why would this halacha of the Gid Hanasheh just pertain to that, to his children, to his sons and daughter? The reason he gives is because it served as a punishment for something that they did wrong. What did they do wrong? They failed to protect their father, who went out alone at night by himself. Vayevater Yaakov levado, v'yavek ish imo. That the struggle, the wrestling match, took place because Yaakov was vulnerable. He was alone. He was alone because his children left him alone. They neglected their responsibility to accompany their elderly father. In the Lashon of the Dat Zikanim, She'asu b'nei Yisrael, literally the children of Yaakov, shelo kehogen, shehenichuhu lalechet yechidi, v'lo asahu lo levaya, v'huzak al yadam begid hanasheh, lekach asar lahem HaKadosh Baruch Hu gid hanasheh, Kedei shiyu zihirim b'mitzvat levaya. So the Isser of Gid Hanasheh serves the purpose of reminding us that we cannot leave frail, vulnerable people in our sphere of responsibility unaccompanied and unattended. So that addresses the first question about the reference of Bnei Yisrael here. And the second issue we raised about the intermingling or interwoven nature of the narrative and law, I think also makes more sense now, because it was the specific dynamics of the story of the narrative that motivated the specific legislation at hand. And without that background, without knowing what went wrong and why it went wrong, it would have been almost impossible to understand the halacha of Gid Hanasheh. So that addresses the first two questions. What about the third, the reference of Ad Hayom Hazeh? So the Radak, or David Kimchi, builds on the approach of the Dat HaZikanim here and asserts that the Isser of Gid Hanasheh was intended as a tikkun, as a corrective for the children of Yaakov specifically, because they had failed so badly, but they told their children about their failure and what they learned from their neglect, and their children told their children, and it passed down from one generation to the next until the day that Moshe transcribed the Torah at Har Sinai, hence the reference of Ad Hayom Hazeh. So the Jewish people accepted upon themselves this practice, Ledorot, for all of time, to remind them that Jews don't let Jews remain alone. We accompany each other in good times and in not such good times. We perform the mitzvah of levaya every time we do hachnasat orchim and walk our guests to the door and beyond as we say goodbye to them. And of course, we do levaya every time we walk behind a coffin at a funeral, the levaya tamet. That is just what we do. We include and we integrate. We give everyone that feeling, I belong, I have a role and a purpose here. With that idea in mind, I wish everyone a wonderful Shabbat. Kol Tuv.